Be warned, this is a spoiler review. This is a spoiler review for Endgame. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. I'm talking about things that are going to spoil it if you haven't seen it. A spoiler review. I don't think I can say it any more clearly. I do not want to spoil the Endgame, so if you are watching, please know there will be spoilers. My name is Sophie Hannah and this is the CINE vlog, which is a vlog all about film reviews and everything to do with film. And as you may have suspected, I'm talking about Avengers Endgame, which is the biggest film to be released this year. I don't know, I think this is a film that will probably live to tell generations that we saw, because there has been nothing on the scale, and Avengers has been out for 1 week. 1 single week, and it sold over 1 billion in cinema tickets, which is just completely unheard of. My general opinion on the film is that it's very good, and as we know, it's ending up 22, this is the 22nd film in the MCU, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that has been released. It's been 11 years of film. It's been a massive part of cinema for the past 11 years, and this film, Avengers Endgame, is really the culmination of it all. It's the end of phase 3 as they now move into phase 4, and we're seeing some characters who we've loved move on, die, pass away. I think before the film came out, I was actually really scared and really worried and really apprehensive about what that was going to mean for how Marvel films were going to look. But I'm going to talk about that going on into the review. Now, I had to watch this film twice in order to really get the essence of it. To be honest, the first time I saw it, I actually went to see a double bill. I saw Infinity War first, and then Avengers came on straight after. So it was a long time. Like, I was in the cinema for like over 6 hours, 6, 7, it was a long time. I was in there for a very long time. And after it finished, I actually felt a little bit disappointed. And I think that was because I was really expecting to see something much more similar to Infinity War. And Endgame is just very, very different. And it was on the second viewing that I appreciated Endgame for what it is. And to me, if I really had to sum it up, I would say that it is a love song to the 22 films or the 21 films that have come before it. It's a swan song and a love song to the fans, those who have supported the MCU for the past 11 years. It's a love song to some of the characters that we've known and loved. And in that sense, for saying goodbye, for saying see you soon until the next phase, I think it was a really great film in that essence. But I want to talk about it not just for how it made me feel, but I think how it was as a film just in general. In terms of the plot, now, I'm hoping that you've seen Infinity War. If you haven't, what have you been doing? Endgame carries on immediately after Infinity War. So I think in the films, very little time has passed. Thanos has done the snap, and half of the world's population, or half of the universe's population has disappeared. Also, a large amount of the Avengers have disappeared. So they're practically half a team, and they're really feeling the loss of all of their friends and family who are no longer around. And then the remaining Avengers see if they can formulate a plan to bring everybody back. For me, one of the first pros has to be just the scale of the project. That's not just Endgame, it's just the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe up until this point. This is something that Kevin Feige, I think that's how you pronounce his name, saw coming, that they had planned into production and producing and doing all these films up until this point. And it's just a mammoth task. For me, that has to rank as pro #1. I don't think we've seen anything like this before. Star Wars, I mean, they had a lot of films, but not all of those were good in terms of the prequels, but I'm not gonna go into that. But in terms of the scale of this project, it's just amazing. And I'm really glad that they were able to end this in a way that done justice to everything that they've done up until this point. The first 11 years are going to stay very fond in people's hearts. I think that the Russo brothers in directing this film and the writers who wrote this film, I thought they were really ambitious in challenging the genre of superhero films. We're expecting there to be probably light-hearted characters. They're not usually shown to be too in-depth. Also, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of fighting pretty much from the jump, usually a thrill ride from beginning to end. But Endgame was really different. I think it really played out as a drama for the first hour and a half, and we really got to see in depth into the characters. In every other film that we've seen, they've been able to fight their way out immediately, but this time there is none of that. We see them moving now 5 years into the future, where the sense of loss and not being able to get back what they lost really settle in. And I really love that. I really love that dramatic element about it, because we really got to see the characters developed a lot more than we have in other films. For Robert Downey Jr., so from seeing him in Iron Man, where he was always really funny, but really selfish, really self-absorbed and thinking about how he could profit himself, to now we're seeing in this film where he's willing to sacrifice himself for everybody else, and in doing so give up his newfound family, like he'll never see them again, his daughter, and we see the really wonderful bond that they have together. So we really see the journey that he's come on. We also see that for Captain America, definitely one of my favorite characters in the MCU. I think the development that we saw in him was really at the end, when he decided that he was not going to come back and decide that he was going to live his life, and this idea that he was probably being a bit selfish, which he's never been. He's always been about everybody else, whether it's about his team or saving the world. It's always been, his focus has always been on other people. But here we see him realizing after the death of Tony Stark that actually life is there to be lived, and he can't let life pass him by without actually grabbing a piece of it. And I thought that was a really nice journey to see Captain America go on, and I thought it was a really lovely ending. I was super afraid that he was going to get killed. Honestly, I was. I really was. And there were moments where they kind of played with the idea where you thought, oh, like, this is not going to end well. Just before, like, all of the Avengers come back, you know, like Doctor Strange opens the door. Like, you really feel like, yeah, Cap, this is it. Like, you fought a good fight, but it's just, your time has come to an end. But the ending that they gave him and going to be with Peggy, I thought that was a really lovely touch, and they got the dance that they had always said that they would in the first Captain America film, and it was just a really nice way to say goodbye to his character. Now, there were other characters who we saw development in, like Hawkeye and Thor, so there's a lot going on in terms of helping us to see the layeredness, that's not a word, but you get what I mean. We were able to see the different layers of our superheroes, some of our favorite, and I really like the different direction that the film went in and showing that. And for me, I only really got that on the second viewing to really appreciate it for what it was. Some people have said that the film kind of drags in the first half, but I don't think so. They're really setting you up for what's coming later, for the losses that we're going to feel, and just allowing us to be more deeply connected to the characters as they go through this journey of trying to get back everything that they felt that they've lost. I really like the comedy in this film, so I thought there were just really lovely comedic touches. When I watched this in the cinema the first and the second time, people were just laughing, people were enjoying it. I love the comment about Captain America's ass. That is America's ass. Like, stuff like that was so funny. They really were able to keep the light and the shade in the film. The special effects were also really great, with the battle scenes, like everything just looked real. If that makes sense, considering that most people are talking to like tennis balls on sticks the majority of the time and green screen. So that was a real pro of it. I really love the final battle scene. I love the way that the characters really intermingled with each other and really worked together to defeat Thanos. I wouldn't say this was better than the fight scenes in Infinity War, in my personal opinion. So the main fight scene, I would say, when they went to Wakanda in Infinity War and then Thor came back with the hammer, I probably found that fight scene much more exciting than this one, but I think this one definitely holds its own. Also the deaths. Now, I'm not saying this is a pro, but I think the way that they were handled was very good. So obviously we lost Robert Downey Jr, Iron Man, and we lost Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow. She died so that Hawkeye could go back to his family, and I'm really gonna miss Black Widow. I mean, personally, I really felt like I would have preferred to have lost Hawkeye. I'm not going to lie to you. I felt like, yeah, you're not my favourite. So if you die for your wife and your kids so they can come back, I'm happy with that. But seeing Black Widow die, I felt that a bit more. And I think it was really sad for them to let go like one of the main female actresses in the original Avengers. I wish they hadn't have done that, but hey ho, they say that there is a Black Widow film coming which must now be a prequel, unless she's gonna come back, which I don't think she will. So at least we'll get to see her again. In regards to Robert Downey Jr, I definitely thought that he was going to die. Definitely did. But I didn't really feel like there was any further for his character to go. So as much as I felt like we saw it coming, I think the way that it was handled in terms of like he's leaving behind a daughter, so there's actually a part of him there, seeing the changes that he's been able to make so that he's no longer just thinking about himself. Like, I love that part, the bit where he got to go back in time and speak to his father, to be able to have some closure in that area. I thought that was such a lovely touch to put in the film, and it really tied everything up nicely. So I'm not unhappy about it at all. And the final funeral scene for Robert Downey Jr, when everyone's saying goodbye to him as they let a little flowers drift across the water, it was just a very nice touch. And that real pan of all the characters who he's affected, who have all been a part of his life for the past 11 years. It was a really lovely touch. I didn't cry in this film, so I tried to stay away from reviews as much as possible before I saw it, because obviously people in America saw it a bit before over here. So I turned off my data. I didn't go on any social media because I'm all here for hashtag don't spoil the endgame. But when I did see reviews, people were saying I'd cried 4 times, I was tearing up. So when I saw this film, I'm like, am I missing something? Is my heart, do I not have a heart? Why was I not crying in the cinema? But for me, I just felt like the deaths were handled so well that it didn't make me sad. It was just the perfect ending to some characters that we've known and we've loved and we've bonded with. I thought it was just the right way to say goodbye to them. In terms of the cons, now this is a spoiler review, which I said at the beginning. So they go back in time. I really love the way at the beginning of the film you go and see Thanos being killed and that he's already destroyed the stones, because there is that moment of, what the hell are they going to do now? Like, how are they going to solve this? How are they going to bring everyone back? Because we must know they're going to bring people back. We've seen the trailer for Spider-Man Far From Home, like they're coming back somehow, but it's about how are they going to do that? Now, the time travel element really allows the film to become a montage for the entire MCU, everything that we've seen in the past 20+ films. So we go back and we see characters like Robert Redford, and we see Tilda Swinton, who was in Doctor Strange, and we see Tony Stark's dad, and we have all these moments where they can really look back on what's happened. We have the elevator scene with Captain America, which I think is one of the best fight scenes, like one of my favorite fight scenes anyway, in the entire MCU. We really see these real classic moments, and it allows us to really reminisce on how far everybody's come. But the time travel element is kind of a con for me, and I don't want to nitpick, but time travel is always a difficult element to include in any film, because it just means that there's just a lot of questions to be answered. And I felt like there were kind of some plot holes with the whole time travel element. Captain America going back to be with Peggy in the past, which I think is great, because there's no woman that he's loved past that. You know, he always looks at her picture in his little compass, I think it is. But now that he's gone back to be with her and he's married her, I'm like, well, what happened to my husband? Like, that is going to cause problems in the time continuum. Now, I say that because I watched The Flash. So if you do, there's this whole idea of when you go back in the past and change things, it has a dramatic effect on the future. So now that Captain America has taken a wife, but someone who was going to be with somebody else, what happens to the husband she was supposed to have and the children? Like, the ripple effects that that's going to have. I'm wondering if that's going to be answered in the upcoming Marvel films. Now, my husband has done a lot of reading on this, because for me, I felt like some of it was a little bit messy. We see in the Spider-Man trailer that he's on a school trip, and it's like, well, he's now 5 years older. Like, he's been gone for 5 years, so technically now he'd be 20, so everyone who was in his class would no longer be around. But did all of his class happen to be in the snap? Is that realistic? I don't know. I don't know if it's just going to cause more questions than it answers. And I guess we'll just have to see if they do that going forward. So for me, that was a slight con, because I don't think it knit as well together, but they had to find a way to do it. So it is what it is. Another con for me was that all of the characters from Infinity War, like all of the Avengers right across the universe, didn't get as much feature as they did in Infinity War. In Infinity War, I really love that once they went to Wakanda and all of the Avengers kind of came together to fight, we saw more of Vision, we saw more of T'Challa, we saw more of Shuri. Like, people had more lines, like they were much more featured, and they weren't so much in this. And for me, that was a con, because I would have really have liked to have seen that, because obviously it's very rare that they're all, well, this is the last time that all of the characters are going to be together. And while I'm disappointed with that, would I say disappointed? But I would have liked to have seen more of other characters. But then again, I guess we're trying to say goodbye to the first Avengers. The Avengers that were originally in, you know, Avengers Assemble. So I can understand why they weren't featured, but yeah, I would have liked a bit more of it in my personal opinion. As another con, I didn't think I found this film as exciting in terms of plot as I did Infinity War. You weren't really as aware of what was going to happen. I felt like when the snap happened and then the film ended in Infinity War, I remember being gobsmacked, because I'm like, sorry, what? Like, huh? Are they, what? Are they not coming back? Like, that is generally how I was. So in this film, I felt like you could really see where it was going. I don't think that really took away from it, but I would just say that I felt that Infinity War probably had a stronger plot than Endgame. And the reason why I'm comparing them is because I feel like both films go together. And they really are a part A and a part B, because they're fighting the same villain. So in terms of that comparison, I would probably say that Infinity War kind of pipped Endgame in regards to the general plot. In regards to the themes, I think the main theme for me that really stuck out was this idea of what do you do when things don't go to plan in a drastic way. These Avengers for the past 11 years, they've had losses, like, you know, Thor lost his mum and his dad, and Loki, maybe. I don't know what's happening with Loki. I honestly think he's coming back, but we'll see. They've had loss before, but not on this scale. Like, the entire universe fell to pieces and people just couldn't rebuild their lives. They couldn't move past it. And being able to see, like, what do you do when you couldn't be the hero? What a hero is really made of. Everyone suffers loss and failure in their life, and it is super hard to deal with. And the only way to get over it is to go through it. It's such a cliched statement, but it's so true. The film really explored that in the first half of the film, and that's the bit that really spoke to me about failures in my own life, or things that I might not have been successful at, but doing everything you can to move on from it and to find a way, to find another way to achieve your goal. And that's what I really loved in terms of the theme of this film. In terms of ratings, this is a really tough one. Like, I have honestly gone backwards and forward as to what I would rate this film as, and if I'm being true to my film heart, I would probably say that I felt that Infinity War was a better film. Just in general. Endgame was just supposed to be something different. It was supposed to be a goodbye. And if I look at it that way, then it becomes very difficult to actually compare it to Infinity War, because they both have two completely different functions. The directors were trying to do two completely different things. I rate my films out of burgers because I super duper love burgers, and I'm trying to eat more healthily now, so I'm not having burgers, so that is a sadness of my heart right now. But in terms of burger ratings, I would probably give Endgame 3 3/4 burgers. Like, I'm really dipping into halves and quarters because I'm just not being able to commit. Like, for me, this was a very good burger. It hit on so many different points. It was so enjoyable. It's a burger I'd want to try over and over again. But for me, it wasn't excellent. I would say it was very good. That's what I would say. So, love me or hate me, I don't know. Tell me what you think. Like, if you haven't seen the film yet, what have you been doing with your life? If you have, let me know down in the comments. Do you think I've been too harsh? Do you think that this was the better film than Infinity War? Let me know, I really want to know. In terms of questions, now I always end my vlog with a question, and today's question would be, what has been your favourite film in the MCU? Now, I'm going to take out Infinity War and Endgame because those are the most recent and they have honestly been on another level, but out of the other 20 films, what has been your favourite? What is the one that you would watch over and over again? Let me know down in the comments, as always. Apart from that, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow my film journey as I try to watch 100 films in 2019. I think I'm at film like 22, 23 now. Also, follow me on social media at the CINE, both on Twitter and Instagram, just to see the things that I'm updating about film. And I think that's everything that I have to say. But until the next time, I'll be seeing you soon.